Ladies and gentlemen, today I speak to the chosen ones, the women who walk with favor, the women who carry purpose in their bones, the ones who shine so bright they stir the darkness in others. If you've ever felt targeted, mistreated, or misunderstood for simply being you, then maybe, just maybe, it's because you are God's favorite woman. And yes, that comes with a cost. Here are 7 powerful signs they hate you because you're God's favorite woman. Number 1. They're intimidated by your confidence because it's something they don't understand, something they can't control. You walk into the room with your head held high, not because you're arrogant, but because you know what you've been through. You carry yourself like a woman who's had to fight for her peace, cry through her breakthroughs, and rise from battles no one even saw. Your confidence didn't come overnight. It was built in silence, in seasons of rejection, betrayal, and pain. And now that you wear it proudly, it makes others uncomfortable. People who haven't done the inner work see your boldness as a threat. They misread your self-assurance as pride, when in reality it's survival. You're not trying to be better than anyone. You're just finally being everything you were meant to be. But for those still living in insecurity, that truth is hard to handle. Your light exposes their shadows. Your voice challenges their silence. Your presence disrupts their comfort zone. So they criticize you, not because you're wrong, but because you remind them of everything they've been too afraid to become. They don't know the nights you talked yourself out of giving up. They don't see the moments you poured strength into yourself when there was no one else to do it. All they see is the result, the way you walk with purpose, the way you speak with conviction, the way you choose yourself unapologetically. And that kind of self-love, that kind of wholeness is rare. It scares people who still rely on approval to feel worthy. You don't play small to make others feel big, and that's why they try to shrink you. They throw shade when you shine too bright. They question your intentions when you step into your calling. They find flaws in your confidence because they haven't found theirs yet. But what they don't realize is that you're not confident to prove anything to anyone. You're confident because you've finally accepted who you are. There's power in a woman who knows her value, and you embody that. You don't need to boast. You don't need to beg. You move with the quiet strength of someone who knows that favor isn't something others gave you. It's something God placed on your life before you were born. And no amount of jealousy, gossip, or dyes can take that away. So yes, they're intimidated, and they should be, because your confidence isn't just about you. It's a reflection of the battles you've won and the woman you've become. You're not walking in pride, you're walking in purpose, and the ones who can't handle that, let them stare, let them whisper, let them wonder how you keep rising, because when you're favored, when you're chosen, your confidence will always shake the room, even if you enter it in silence. Number 2, they try to dim your light because it shines too brightly for their comfort. You walk with grace, strength, and a quiet radiance that commands attention, not because you seek it, but because you were born with it. You carry something within you that can't be faked, borrowed, or replicated. It's your light, your unique essence, your favor, your divine assignment. And for those who haven't discovered their own, that light can feel like a threat. People who haven't healed will often target those who have. Your glow reminds them of everything they're still hiding, from every dream they buried, every piece of themselves they've given up on. So instead of doing the inner work to find their light, they try to extinguish yours. They'll make little comments cloaked in sarcasm. They'll downplay your achievements, ignore your growth, or act unimpressed by things they secretly admire. It's not that you're doing anything wrong. It's that your very presence exposes what they haven't yet faced in themselves. You may notice how they go quiet when you speak, how they never clap when you win, or how they shift the conversation when the spotlight starts to land on you. These aren't coincidences. They're signs. Signs that you carry something powerful, and that power unsettles people who thrive in mediocrity. You're not loud. You're not boastful. But still, your light speaks volumes. It tells the world you know who you are and where you're going. That kind of clarity is rare and threatening to those still lost in confusion. They'll try to make you feel like you're too much, too bold, too confident, too ambitious. But what they really mean is, you're too brave to dim yourself for their approval. And that's exactly why you must never apologize for your light. You weren't created to blend in. You were made to stand out, to lead, to inspire. Favor doesn't ask for permission. Purpose doesn't wait for applause. They want you to doubt yourself because they're already doubting themselves. They want you to shrink so they can feel tall next to you. But shrinking won't protect you, it'll only delay your destiny. So keep shining. Even when it makes others uncomfortable, especially when it does, because your light is not arrogance, it's alignment. It's the evidence of what happens when a woman says yes to who she really is. What they don't realize is that trying to dim you only makes your glow stronger. Every attempt to silence you sharpens your voice. Every effort to minimize you increases your impact. You were never meant to be hidden. You were never meant to live in someone else's shadow. You were created to rise, to lead, and to light the way for others who are still trying to find themselves. So let them try, let them whisper, let them stare, because the more they try to dim your light, the more obvious it becomes that you were never meant to live in the dark. Number 3, they gossip, but never confront because facing you directly would require a level of courage they don't possess. It's easier for them to whisper in corners than to stand in your light. They'll talk about your name like it's a rumor, pass judgment without the facts, and throw dirt on your reputation, all while smiling to your face. Why? Because deep down they know they can't break you, so they try to break the way others see you. Gossip is the weapon of the weak. It's how insecure people process their envy. They see your strength, your resilience, your favor, and instead of asking how you got there or learning from your walk, they try to tear you down in secret. It's never about what you've done to them. It's about what your life says about theirs. Your presence alone becomes a mirror reflecting everything they lack. And instead of doing the inner work, they try to distort the image. They won't say a word to you directly because confrontation means accountability. It means explaining why they feel so threatened by someone who's done nothing but mind her own purpose, and they can't handle that. They'd rather twist your story than face the truth of their own insecurities. They'd rather poison others' perceptions than admit their own jealousy. Gossip becomes their coping mechanism, a way to feel superior without ever having to grow. But the real reason they gossip is because you've touched something in them they can't explain. You remind them of boldness they buried, of dreams they let die. Your favor isn't loud, but it echoes. Your confidence isn't aggressive, but it shakes things. You don't need a platform to make an impact. Your energy does that for you, and that's why they talk. Because they can't stop watching you, and it bothers them that you keep rising without their approval. What they don't realize is that gossip says more about them than it ever will about you. When someone has to lie or twist the truth to make you look bad, it only reveals how powerful your truth really is. You've given them no reason to hate you, but they still do. That's not your burden to carry. That's their battle with themselves. So don't let the whispers distract you. Don't shrink just because your presence stirs discomfort. Let them talk, let them gather, let them twist your name. You keep walking with your head high, because the ones who gossip can't stop you. They don't have the power, they never did, and the fact that they won't say it to your face only confirms it. Your growth, your peace, your glow, it all threatens what they thought was permanent in their own lives. But instead of changing, they choose to hate. And hate that hides behind gossip is proof that you're ahead, that you're chosen, that you're marked. So walk boldly, knowing this. Their silence in front of you is the loudest confirmation that your power speaks for itself. Number 4. They copy you, then compete with you because they admire what you've built but hate that it didn't come from them. They watch everything you do, from the way you speak to the way you move, from your ideas to your style, and they imitate it like it's inspiration. But the moment you keep excelling, they shift. What started as silent admiration turns into quiet competition. It's not that they want to be like you. They want to beat you at being you. At first, it might seem flattering. You notice them picking up your mannerisms, echoing your words, chasing dreams that look eerily similar to yours. But over time, you begin to feel the tension. The compliments become backhanded. The support starts to fade. They don't clap for you the same way they used to. Because deep down, they hope to mirror your success without walking through your struggle. They want your crown but not your calling. They want the fruits but not the seeds, the glory but not the grind. What they don't understand is that your path wasn't just a blueprint, it was a battle. Your journey is laced with tears, setbacks, and sacrifices they've never seen. They think they can copy the outcome, not realizing it's the process that shaped you. And because they can't duplicate your heart, your resilience, or your favor, they choose to compete instead. Competition isn't always loud. Sometimes it comes wrapped in smiles and shallow support. They'll pretend to root for you, all while racing to outdo you. They'll wait for your next move just to try to do it faster, louder, or bigger. But no matter how closely they watch, they can never become what they're trying to beat, because what's real can't be replicated, and what's yours can't be stolen. You were never trying to compete, you were just becoming. You were focused on growing, healing, building, evolving, but your evolution became a trigger, and instead of learning from your example, they decided to turn you into a rival. That's not your fault. That's their insecurity in disguise. What they don't realize is that while they're focused on one-upping you, you're not even watching them. You're too busy staying aligned with your purpose, too rooted in your own path to play a game you never signed up for. And that's what really bothers them, not just that you're ahead, but that you're unbothered by their chase. Let them copy, let them compete, let them try to recreate your magic, because no matter how hard they try, they can never replicate the favor that rests on your life. Imitation may be flattery, but competition born from envy is empty. And while they're running in circles trying to outshine you, you're rising, on your own terms, in your own time, untouched by comparison and unshaken by imitation. Because when you're truly chosen, you don't compete, you lead. Number 5, they misinterpret your kindness for weakness because they don't understand that strength doesn't always have to roar. You move with compassion, speak with grace, and extend love even to those who don't deserve it. And to them, that looks like softness. But what they fail to see is that it takes far more strength to stay kind in a world that constantly gives you reasons not to be. Your gentleness is not a lack of power, it's proof of your control. You forgive people who hurt you, not because you're naive, but because you refuse to let bitterness take root in your heart. You show patience, not because you're a pushover, but because you value peace over petty conflict. You choose to uplift others even when you're carrying your own weight silently, and somehow they look at all that goodness and assume you're easy to manipulate, easy to overlook, or easy to break. They see your smile and think they've figured you out. But they are wrong. What they don't realize is that your kindness is a choice, a deliberate, daily act of power. It's not that you can't fight back, it's that you know when it's worth it. You don't operate from ego or anger. You lead from a place of wholeness. And to those who thrive on chaos and control, that composure is unsettling. It frustrates them that they can't provoke you. It confuses them that you're unshaken by their pettiness, and so they try to test you, push your boundaries, and take advantage of your open heart. They'll call you too emotional, too soft, too forgiving. But what they're really saying is that they can't comprehend a woman who is both strong and compassionate. You've mastered the balance they've never learned. They live in extremes, hard or broken, guarded or cold, while you live in purpose that makes them uncomfortable, and in their discomfort they mistake your humility for helplessness, but they don't see the fire behind your calm. They don't see the wisdom behind your silence. They don't know how many times you've bitten your tongue, how many battles you've chosen not to fight, not because you couldn't, but because you knew who you were. You don't need to scream your worth. You don't need to clap back at every insult. Your presence speaks for itself. Your life is your response. And when you finally do draw a boundary, they're shocked. When you finally say enough, they call you changed. But the truth is, you were never weak. They were just too blind to recognize the strength it took to stay kind. You gave them grace, and they saw it as a gap. You gave them love, and they mistook it for a leash. But now they see kindness is not a vulnerability. It's a quiet, unstoppable power. And yours has always been louder than they were willing to admit. Number 6, they try to isolate you because your presence is too powerful when you're connected. They see how people are drawn to you, how your energy lifts the room, how your words carry weight, how your spirit inspires. You don't need a spotlight to be seen or a microphone to be heard. Your influence is natural, undeniable, and for those who feel threatened by that, the only strategy they know is to separate you from your support, from your strength, from your sense of belonging. They'll start subtly. Maybe they plant little seeds of doubt in others' minds. Maybe they twist your words, misrepresent your actions, or create small moments of misunderstanding just big enough to cause distance. They'll spread rumors behind closed doors, knowing that isolation doesn't always come through force. It often comes through manipulation. Before you know it, people start pulling back. Invitations stop. Conversations change, and suddenly you find yourself standing alone, wondering what you did wrong, when all you ever did was be yourself. But you see, that's the plan. They believe that if they can cut you off from the crowd, they can control the narrative. They think if they isolate you, they can weaken you. They assume you'll lose your voice without an audience. What they don't realize is that solitude only sharpens the ones who are chosen. They forget that some of your greatest growth comes in silence. That isolation doesn't break favored women. It builds them. When they remove you from the group, what they're really doing is creating space for your transformation. They think they're burying you, but you're just being planted. In your quiet seasons, you hear more clearly. You heal more deeply. You tap into strength they never knew you had. And when you return, because you always do, you come back wiser, stronger, and more anointed than before. They try to make you feel like no one cares, like you've been forgotten. But heaven never forgets who it favors, and even in your loneliness, you are not alone. The very attempt to isolate you is proof of how dangerous your presence is. Because when you're surrounded, you multiply. When you're connected, you lead. And when you're empowered, you become unstoppable. So they try to cut the connections before you realize your full potential. Let them remove themselves. Let them create distance. Because those who fall away weren't meant to walk with you in the next chapter anyway. Their absence is protection. Their silence is clarity. And the space they tried to use against you is now the very space God is using to elevate you. So don't fear the isolation, embrace it, use it, grow in it, because what they meant for harm will only push you further into purpose. And the woman they tried to isolate will return more powerful, more focused, and more favored than they ever expected. Number 7. They can't understand why you keep rising because, by their logic, you should have been broken by now. They've seen you go through storms that would have crushed someone else. They've watched you face betrayal, loss, rejection, setbacks. And still you show up. Still you smile. Still you push forward with grace and purpose. To them it doesn't make sense. They've thrown stones, spread rumors, doubted your potential, and waited for you to fall. But you didn't. Every time they thought they counted you out, you came back stronger. And that confuses them. They don't know the source of your strength. They think it's luck or timing. They tell themselves it's just good fortune, or that someone must be helping you behind the scenes. But what they fail to understand is that your rise isn't rooted in external things. It's divine. It's spiritual. It's favor. You were chosen, and no matter how hard they try to pull you down, the hand that holds you keeps lifting you back up. What they don't see are the silent battles, the nights you cried and kept going, the prayers you whispered when no one else believed in you, the discipline it took to stay focused when distractions were all around you. You didn't rise by accident. You rose with intention, with faith, with relentless perseverance. They see the glow but not the grind. They admire the shine but overlook the scars, and because they don't understand it, they try to explain it away. They'll say you got lucky, that you had connections, that you played the system. They'll do anything to avoid facing the real reason. They can't stop you because they didn't start you. You're not built on approval, applause, or validation. You're built on something they can't touch. They try to compete, but they don't have your resilience. They try to copy, but they don't have your heart. They try to sabotage, but they don't realize that every attack against you is being turned into a stepping stone. You keep rising not because life has been easy, but because you've made a decision. No matter what happens, you will not stay down. It's not just that you rise, it's how you rise with integrity, with compassion. With power and poise, you don't have to trample others to climb. You don't have to scream to be seen. Your rise is silent but undeniable, graceful but unshakable, and that's what bothers them most. They can't figure out how you continue to grow when they've done everything to stop you. But that's the thing about favor. It doesn't make sense to those who don't have it. It confuses those who rely on manipulation and control. You weren't made to be understood by everyone. You were made to rise, to lead, to light the way. So let them wonder, let them whisper. While they're trying to figure out why you keep rising, you just keep rising higher. So if you see these signs, don't shrink, don't apologize, don't doubt your worth. You are God's favorite woman, not because you're perfect, but because you're chosen. And when you're chosen, the hate isn't a curse, it's confirmation. Keep rising, keep glowing, keep walking in your divine assignment. They may hate you, but heaven honors you. Thank you.